All right, let's get right into it. Welcome, everyone. I'm incredibly excited to have all of our key stakeholders, tech directors, and compliance officers in the room today. In this explainer, we're evaluating something that is, quite honestly, a total game changer. We're talking about the unified autonomous dispute and loyalty concierge. It's time we finally move away from those agonizing manual bottlenecks and step into an era of secure, autonomous resolution. So let's just dive right in.
So, here is the million-dollar question we're solving today. How on earth do we resolve complex customer disputes autonomously without sacrificing an ounce of security or user experience? For years, our industry has treated these as totally competing priorities. You either got a highly locked-down system that needed constant human babysitting, or you got a lightning-fast automated system that literally kept the compliance team awake at night. Well, today, we're looking at a new architecture that flat-out refuses the compromise on either front.
Here's our agenda for the breakdown. First, the vision. Second, powering concierge with skills. Third, interactive UI and secure commerce. Fourth, the 7-pillar security framework. And finally, continuous evaluation. Let's hit it. Section 1. The vision. Streamlining lives securely.
So, what exactly is the Unified Autonomous Dispute and Loyalty Concierge? At its core, it's an intelligent agent with a strict dual mandate. It autonomously handles those really thorny customer returns and loyalty tasks, but it does it while keeping personal information completely on lockdown. We're using this system to free up human time for the complex stuff that actually matters. We're essentially shifting our teams from being manual dispute processors to high-level orchestrators.
Let's walk through how this actually looks in the wild for a customer. First, the agent receives a complex complaint. Now, instead of dragging along some massive, bloated system prompt, it dynamically loads just a highly specific return policy skill. Boom. Next, it generates an interactive, totally secure visual widget right there inside the chat window, which we call A2UI. And finally, it executes the refund using strict, pre-approved guardrails. The customer gets a beautifully seamless experience, and we get incredible operational efficiency. Win-win, right?
Moving right along to Section 2. Powering concierge with skills, the agent's brain. Okay, I want to share a wildly surprising truth about production-grade AI with you all. A recent reverse engineering of an agent runtime found that only 1.6% of the code base is the actual AI reasoning loop. Just 1.6%? A staggering 98.4% is purely operational infrastructure. We're talking permission classifiers, context pipelines, session storage. I want to assure everyone here that this system relies on rigorous deterministic engineering. It's not just unpredictable AI magic. Think of the AI as the engine, but that 98.4%, that's the car, the reinforced chassis, and the incredibly strict traffic laws making sure it never drives off a cliff.
So, how do we actually build out that massive chunk of operational infrastructure? Well, from an OpEx perspective, the old way was building a multi-agent monolith. If you had 100 different return procedures, you literally built 100 sub-agents. That meant 100 separate deployments. It was a complete operational nightmare of complex routing and endless maintenance. Our concierge uses a brilliantly simple alternative. One single agent with 100 skills. These skills are just lightweight, version-controlled folders holding markdown files and scripts. Need to add a 101st procedure? You just drop in a new folder. You don't spin up a whole new deployment. It's incredibly scalable.
And the real secret sauce here is a concept called the progressive disclosure of knowledge. We only load the return policy skill when the user actually asks about a return. We only load the customer profile exactly when it's needed. Why is this such a big deal for our bottom line? Well, throwing everything into the AI's context window all at once causes what we call context rot. The AI basically gets overwhelmed and forgets its own rules. Plus, it drives token costs absolutely through the roof. By treating skills as dynamic context, we slash costs because we're only paying for the exact expertise that specific task needs right at that exact moment.
All right, Section 3, Interactive UI and Secure Commerce, the interface and transaction.
By default, if you let them, AI agents will just spit out raw, totally unusable JSON data. And let's be real, that does not work for a stressed-out customer trying to fix a dispute. So we utilize 3 standardized open protocols to fix this. First up is A2UI, or Agent-to-User Interface. This lets the agent generate secure, interactive visual widgets like a drop-down menu for a return reason, instead of just dumping text. Second is UCP, the Universal Commerce Protocol, which lets the agent safely negotiate catalog options. And finally, AP2, the Agent Payments Protocol, which tightly governs the actual financial transaction.
To put this into perspective for the tech directors and execs in the room, think of it like this. UCP is essentially the universal translator. It's how the AI talks to the inventory system, checks if an exchange item is in stock, and calculates fees perfectly. AP2, on the other hand, is the parent's credit card. You wouldn't just hand an AI raw, unfiltered access to our payment gateway, right? No way. AP2 uses cryptographic guardrails so the agent can only execute a refund within the strict boundaries you have already pre-approved. It fundamentally stops the agent from hallucinating a massive, costly transaction. Let's dig into the security layer. Section 4, the 7-pillar security framework, the Vault.
We operate this entire system on the principle of continuous effective trust. First up, the agent's logic executes inside ephemeral sandboxing. Think of this like a self-destructing workspace. If the agent needs to generate a custom script to calculate some complex prorated loyalty refund, that script runs in a totally network-isolated environment that instantly resets when it's done. Second, we strictly enforce zero ambient authority. The agent never ever inherits global administrative privileges. Instead, it relies on just-in-time token downscoping. That means it gets a hyper-restricted credential that literally expires the exact millisecond the refund task finishes.
Now, obviously, not all skills carry the same risk, so we stratify that risk using a very strict governance ladder. Read-only skills can only look at things, like checking a loyalty point balance. Then you have draft-only skills. These can produce content, like drafting an apology email, but they have zero ability to actually send it. And finally, action-allowed skills, like issuing an actual AP2 payment. These require the highest possible level of oversight. This ladder makes our architecture incredibly defensible, both to our internal security teams and, crucially, to external regulators.
But what about those high-stakes, action-allowed tasks? Here, we tackle a massive industry problem, confirmation fatigue. Look, if you show a human operator a wall of complex JSON code and ask for approval 50 times a day, human nature kicks in. Eventually, they're just going to mindlessly click yes. We solve this with what's called the vibe diff. Before any critical transaction runs, an evaluator quorum intercepts it and translated the generated code into a clear, plain English summary. This ensures the human in the loop actually understands exactly what they are authorizing before they provide their cryptographic approval. It's an absolute lifesaver.
Which brings us to Section 5, Continuous Evaluation and Trust, Proving Value.
In a fully autonomous environment, your standard QA just isn't going to cut it. We have to make the jump to agentic evaluation. We perform trajectory inspection to continuously analyze the exact reasoning steps and tool calls the agent is making. For our active defense layer, we use agent behavioral analytics to constantly baseline expected execution paths. And then we bring in the automated teaming. A red team agent is actively out there trying to trick the concierge. A blue team is constantly monitoring for drift. And a green team can execute a stateful quarantine on the fly, gracefully pausing the agent the second an anomaly is detected, and doing it without losing a single line of the customer's chat history.
To really bring all of this into focus, I want you to consider this core insight from the explainer. Software engineering is undergoing its most significant transformation, the transition from writing code to expressing intent, trusting intelligent systems to translate that intent into working software. This Concierge isn't just a new tool. It represents a massive paradigm shift to agentic engineering. We aren't hard-coding every single user interaction anymore. We are orchestrating highly intelligent, rigorously constrained agents.
So, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've seen the vision, the incredibly lightweight skills architecture, the secure commerce protocols, and that uncompromising 7-pillar security framework that keeps everything locked down tightly. The architecture is proven, the guardrails are solidly in place, and the operational efficiencies, they're undeniable. The question is no longer whether AI is going to handle our disputes in the future, it absolutely will. The real question is whether we are ready to embrace agentic engineering today. So, are you ready to authorize the next phase of deployment for the unified autonomous dispute and loyalty concierge? Thank you so much for your time. Let's build the future together.